All right. We live. And chilling. Yeah, so I hope anybody who happens to tune in is having a good day, good evening, good morning. I don't know where you might be, but I hope everybody's doing all right. What's up, Black Ken? It says 1 hour, but it'll be like an hour and 35 minutes. Yeah. Hey, we already know what it is. Your boy gets on a roll and loses track. What's up, Mr. Emoji? What's up, Sim John? What's up, Elijah? Yeah, man. Yeah, so just a quick recap on video games. Last month, about 2 weeks straight, I played Bayonetta 3, which I thought was great. Every game has its issues, but I thought it was great nonetheless. And Bayonetta Origins the week after that. And it was definitely something different. Definitely something different. It was definitely more to it than what it looks like. You know, if you watch a trailer of Bayonetta Origins or something like that, it's definitely more to it than how it at first looks. Because I would have never even touched it until I played the demo, and then I was like, oh wow, like, you know, I'm already invested into the Bayonetta character as a whole. So like, I gave it a shot, and it was good. It was good. Like I said, it was different than what it looks like. Because at first glance, it looks like just some shitty mobile game. You know what I mean? But when you actually play it and see the controls behind it, it was really something. Okay, for everything I've experienced, it was really something different. On top of that, it was the Bayonetta character as a little girl, so it's like, yeah, this was actually something good. Now, right now, I was gonna get Zelda, but I ended up stumbling upon Final Fantasy VII, the remake on PC, and so I said, fuck, let me give it a try, right? I've never played a Final Fantasy even halfway through, so of course I never beat a Final Fantasy. I played the demo of the remake on PS4 when it came out, and I thought it was good back then. So I'm playing it now, and to be honest with you, it feels like Final Fantasy VII, the remake, is amazing for people who don't know Bayonetta exists. like if you know Bayonetta 3 exists, right? And they added that whole dynamic of actually summoning the monster whenever you want to and controlling a monster, you know, shit like that. For people who don't know Bayonetta 3 exists, Final Fantasy VII is probably like some of the best shit you'll ever see in your life. Right? But if you've seen Bayonetta 3 and how they just went they really just went completely above Final Fantasy. So, but Final Fantasy VII is not bad. I'm definitely going to finish it because I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying it for what it is, right? It's not, like, you could tell, like, it's hard to kind of place it because in the same instance, it's not turn-based, but in some instances, it kind of still has turn-based elements in it. Like, you can't just spam, you know, anything outside of just hacking and slashing. But it still kind of has this element of of turn-based shit, but I think the core is hack and slash. But you can do a summon in there like you could in the old Final Fantasies, and it feels like it's trying to trickle into that epicness of Bayonetta. Like, it feels like what they did was it feels like the makers of Final Fantasy VII, the remake, watched too much Bayonetta and said, okay, we're going to try to do our own thing and mix it in with Final Fantasy VII. And ultimately, the entire battle system, as far as I made it now, the entire battle system it's not that great after playing Bayonetta 3. And I mean, but even with that being said, I'm still going to finish it. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it for what it is, but I feel like they're not quite making that where they're trying to go with that epicness, right? But that's just me. What's up? What's up, MG Verde? What's up, Mo? What's today's lecture about? I have no idea. But the reason why I live stream is because I know I'm not going to be able to live stream tomorrow. So I'll probably be able to do it. Today's Tuesday, so Thursday. But I figure if I want to do 2 a week, I might as well just go ahead and just say fuck it, pump one out right now and see where, if it amounts to anything. But is God watching porn okay in his 30s onwards? Is watching porn okay in the 30s and onwards? Yeah, the God. Yeah, of course. It's nothing wrong with porn, man. Okay, from my perspective, I say there's nothing wrong with porn, right? Now, what I have noticed is that as time seems to keep going on, as it always does, the younger and younger generations are used to just doing everything through their phone and and shit like that to get that immediate gratification, right? So I think what's happening is with the younger generations is, and I think they're doing ultimately like the right thing as far as human resources and spending goes, and not just money, but spending in general, time, emotions, all that. Porn is just going to be the easier option. Now, I do think that porn addiction, there's nothing wrong with porn addiction in the sense of that path, right? Because when you go out and you try to talk to a regular girl, like, women are just not likable, right? Outside of them wearing, leggings so tight that it's going to cut the circulation off to their feet, right? Outside of them wearing long hair to remind you that they're women, there's nothing very likable about women in the world, right? Outside of her wearing clothes to remind you that she's a woman, right? Skin tight shit, elaborating facial features to remind you that she's a woman. If you strip that out, there's nothing, you don't have anything to say to this woman unless you're just really horny at that point, right? So with that being said, if you had the option to just go watch porn, or if you're into buying hookers, if you had the option to just go watch porn or pay for a hooker, like, I would totally advocate that, because the time and the stress into dealing with just, let's say, a normal woman in the world, it's just not worth that exchange. Like, it's not. I couldn't recommend a dude to now, if he stumbles into it, whatever, like, okay, cool, whatever. But okay, if the time and money and resources you're gonna spend on this on trying to get a woman versus just, you can just pop open a laptop real quick or go to a brothel real quick and be in and out, like, only a fool would say go deal with the woman. Okay, so to put in perspective, it would be, maybe it could kind of be in line, let's say, like, just ordering food from a restaurant versus going home and cooking it all yourself, right? Now, of course, there's going to be things to learn in both sides, but when you look at time and resources, depending on the food, you might be better off just going and buying this shit from McDonald's, right? After you use all that time and resources to going home, make your own bread, hamburger, cutting the lettuce, cutting the tomato, making mayonnaise and all this shit like that, after you done got done working for 8-9 hours a day, like, that's going to be the better deal. And that's always going to be my perspective on it. I just don't think the majority of women are going to be worth that time and effort. I just don't think the majority of women you're going to find out and you're going to find in life are just not going to be worth that time and effort. So if anybody ever asks me, is porn okay? Is prostitution okay? I say, yeah, absolutely. I don't care how old you are. That's besides the point, right? Now I think where it can go wrong is that the younger generations are doing it, and the younger generations are becoming addicted to porn in the dynamic of still worrying about what people think about them, and showing that they care about what people think about them in one way or another, right? Because, okay, how many men do you know will sit here in front of a laptop and tell you, like, yes, I will buy a hooker. Yes, I will jack my dick off the big oil butts on whatever porn site I could find. Yes, I will do that. Right? How many men will sit here and be that comfortable to say that? Right? Well, my girl's at the park with my son right now. How many guys do you know? How many guys on ERF could sit here and do that? Right? Because not very many guys you find can tap out of that whole, like, oh, I hope I'm socially accepted afterwards. You be like, I'm officially not in that, or I know how to play. You know, something's gonna happen where it'll just be easier for me to just play along with social, social judgments, because it's just gonna be easier just to play along and get in and get out. But for the most part, like, no, I don't really care about any of that shit. So yeah, the younger generations are okay. If any statistic will prove anything, the internet, like pornography, is essentially either running the internet or is the backbone of the internet as far as traffic. Right. If one thing's clear, especially men cannot get enough of looking at just a different woman. We can't get it. It's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with that, right? It just is what it is. But I think the problem is the younger generations, again, they're for one reason or another, whether it's their fault or it's not their fault, because I'm not trying to say everything is necessarily their fault, but it cannot be their fault, right? The reason it cannot be their fault was, well, maybe they got to go out for whatever reason. They got to go out there and go to work and try to be the best employee they can to get that, to try to move up a social ladder, to try to better their position in life, because that's what it's always going to be about. So that social presentation is always kind of weighing them down in the back of their mind and holding them back from what they really want to say, what they want to do in life, because they're worried that they might lose what little they got in life. So many scenarios can happen, right? So I'm not trying to say it's like directly anybody's fault. The shit happens. But I think where it's going, where it is fucking up is I'm trying to make this very concise. It's the social, because here's the even when guys try to pretend like they don't care, a lot of times it still bleeds that they do care, right? Like, and it'll be the little things that'll signal it. It definitely be the little things. Yeah. What's up, Anthony? Big Johnson. What's up, Big Johnson? AD. Big Johnson. AD having cheap hot escorts and being being one SMS away from a young slim bitch has honestly spoiled me. Yeah. I would tell any man, just go buy that prostitute. Was in the Tom Cruise movie, was it Jack Reacher, I think? No, I think it was Jack. I can never remember those two, Oblivion and Jack Reacher. I think it was Jack Reacher. I always get those mixed up for some reason. But it was a scene in there where he goes, this young girl comes and sits down to him at a desk. I mean, at a table. He's in like a bar or something like that, and this cute young girl comes down and sits and talks to him, and he goes, I'm not interested, and something like that. And she goes like, well, like I'm not trying to, I don't want to hook her. And she goes, I'm not a hooker. No, he goes, I can't afford you. That's what it was. The young girl comes and sits down next to him, and he just goes, look, I can't afford you right now. And she goes, you can't afford me? I'm not a hooker. You thought I was a hooker? I'm not a hooker. He goes, oh, if you're not a hooker, then I really can't afford you. Meaning like because the cheapest woman is the one you pay for, right? And that's just real. I mean, now I think nowadays that's kind of in America, at least in the West. I think nowadays that's kind of fallen out. That didn't hold the test of time because of what things have turned into in the West. But generally speaking, like, in most places you're going to go on Earth, outside of the West, like prostitution is nothing. I mean, sex is nowhere near that same level of glorified, as far as money goes, right? So that logic still holds up. Like the cheapest woman is going to be the one you're going to. The cheapest woman is the one you pay for. Prostitutes, those are the cheap. By the time a woman is prostituting, yeah. And I touched on this a while back. Hang on. By the time a woman is prostituting, that is the equivalent. That is her equivalent of let's say like a normal woman in online dating, right? A prostitute, typical prostitutes, that is the lowest of the low, right? Because to be, like I say all the time, to be a woman is to be prostitute, right? There's no way around it. It's, for some reason or another, the man sold off his ability to protect to that woman. That's the only reason she's fucking with him. Right? The only reason she's fucking with him. So that man sold off one of three ways of showing that he can protect her. Right? Right? So to be woman is to be prostitute. Now, by the time a woman is just flat out saying, I'm fucking for $60, that is the lowest of all women at this point, because she couldn't even hide it. Because the main goal among women in the dating market is to hide their prostitution and to try to pretend that that's not what it is to the best of their ability, right? They got to disguise it and all this other goofy shit, right? That's the primary goal of any and every woman in the dating market looking for a man or men, is to try to disguise it, right? So by the time she's broken down to the point it's like, look, I'm available. By the time a woman has to walk down the street and say, I'm available, that is the lowest of the low. Because she for one reason or another, she fucked up bad. What's up, Rana? What's up, August Line? I have a Switch. Haven't got Breath of the Wild. Oh, Anthony, I love Breath of the Wild. I had it years ago. I went to sleep playing that game and woke up playing that game for about a week. I love that game. I still haven't got Tears of the Kingdom. Where's my Switch at? It was just right. Oh, there it's over there on top of my books. But yeah, man. Yeah, Zelda was some good shit. Man. You got to Switch. I would. You definitely not gonna go wrong with with Breath of the Wild. I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom yet, but you definitely not. I mean, some people say that they didn't like it. I didn't care for it at first. I still remember when I first started playing it. Actually, the first two games I got when I got my Switch was Mario Odyssey and I think that's the name of it, Mario Odyssey and Astral Chain. I wanted to play the Astral Chain since I heard about it because I'm a big Platinum Games fan. And Astral Chain was the first one that I tried, and I hated it because Astral Chain, and I say this to this day, and everybody always disagrees with me, but Astral Chain felt like they took all the worst parts about Platinum Games. It felt like they took all the employees that got fired from Platinum Games, got them together and made that game, right? And it played out like how you would think it would play out. Like it had all Astral Chain to me. It had all the what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word. It had all it looked like it had all the functioning parts into being a great game, but it just like it was the little things that Platinum Games adds to their games that makes their games lovable, like Bayonetta, like it's the character's personality, right? Or it's a deeper story mixed in with the personalities. And Astral Chain essentially just like your character doesn't speak, which is a big issue with Platinum Games historically because their characters always have to speak. They give that character to it, right? Like Bayonetta, she's her own character. The dude from Vanquish, I can't remember his name now, but the dude from Vanquish, that's another one of my favorite games, and that never even got a sequel, but that was Platinum Games. Vanquish was a blast. But the thing is, like, these games don't look like a blast to play. If you just watch them, you have to actually play them, and it's like, oh, like, they get it, like, Platinum Games gets it. But Astral Chain, like, the first big part that I didn't like about it was you control these monsters. Now, if it had been like a Platinum Games, those monsters would have all had their own personalities, and they would have been fighting with each other, and it would have had some jokes. You know, they would have been fighting with each other, but still been friends. Like, it felt like it wasn't like the A-Team on Platinum Games who made it. right? It doesn't look bad, but it just didn't. And I hated it. I sold it before I finished. And I've only done that with a handful of games. The Last of Us 2, sold that before I finished it. Astral Chain, I've only done it with a handful of games. But then I played Mario after that because I figured Mario was going to be some old bullshit. And I actually ended up loving that. So I love the Mario Odyssey. Great game. I could always recommend that. Then I tried Zelda. I had never beaten a Zelda. I had just kind of started getting a little bit into Zelda at the time. No, like a few years before that when I had my Wii. So I played the Breath of the Wild. And at first I didn't like Breath of the Wild because it felt like Shadow of Mordor. It felt like just a cell shaded version of Shadow of Mordor. And a shitty version at that, right? I didn't like it. And I just kind of kept playing. I just kind of stuck with it. And just kind of stuck with it. And it just slowly like became a fun thing to just explore. You weren't held to just one area. You can essentially go anywhere. You could find weapons that maybe you weren't supposed to have yet. I remember I found a weapon that I found a fire sword that I wasn't supposed to have yet. And for those of you who don't know, like there's weather dynamics in the game. So there's regions that are like really cold. So if you go there without any protection, you'll just freeze to death. You just like your health will drain because you're just too cold. Well, if you apply a sword, if you like it played with temperature. So with that sword, it was hot enough where I put it on my back and it kept me warm while I was it kept me warm enough to go find whatever I had to find in the snowy part, right? So it was like the little things like that was what made it just like it was. I haven't found another game that was anything quite like that. And I was a fan of the weapons destroying. I was a fan. A lot of people didn't like the fact that weapons could be destroyed. I liked it because it kept me like having the. Okay, for me, the weapons that got destroyed were like almost the equivalent of like Spider-Man when he would run out of webbing in the comic books. He would have to like readjust his strategy in the comics. Now, no video games ever touched on that. To that extreme of you're just out of webs, what are you gonna do type of shit. And I've always wished a Spider-Man game would do that, but none of them have ever done it to that extreme. Like he would always get like a little bit back randomly in like the first Spider-Man game. But yeah, I like the fact that weapons would shatter and destroy. You had to switch up your strategy, or maybe you just were stuck with all shitty swords after that, and you had to just like fucking tough it out with nothing. Right, and just figure shit out. Like that's what I loved about it. So yeah. And then after that, I think Breath of the Wild was just it was just such an experience to where I just couldn't even touch the Switch. There was just no other game like Breath of the Wild. I just couldn't even touch the Switch after that for I'd say at least a year. There was just nothing that can pick up where Breath of the Wild at that time. There was nothing that could pick up where Breath of the Wild left off. On that deep of an adventure, man. I just didn't touch the Nintendo Switch anymore after that. Shadow of Mordor was Assassin's Creed in Middle Earth, but I really enjoyed the game. Yeah. Shadow of Mordor, it had its it had its cool parts, like if you had to fight like the army generals or whatever the fuck, but if one got away, he could like come back while you're in the middle of fighting with another army general. Then he'd have his own cutscenes like, yeah, you thought you got me, Ranger, but I'm back, and you had to fight, and they killed me a bunch of times like that. Because I remember one time like 3 or 4 of them came back at one time. Like what? I remember the first time it happened, it blew my mind. First time it happened, completely blew my mind. I hadn't seen anything like that before ever in a game. The Nemesis system. Yeah, that was hot, man. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed it. How was your Father's Day? Oh, it was cool, man. I was chilling. Cheers from Poland. What's up, man? From Poland. Kozik. So let me ask you, Alexander. Cozy, I think no, Kozel in Czech is goat. As I thought it was Cozy. Kozel in Czech is goat. Cheers from Poland. What happened to your older solo videos from 2 years ago? I have no idea. I have them on a hard drive, but if they're gone, I need to put them up because I got them in a hard drive in the other room. In your opinion, what are the best? But thanks for watching, Alexander from Poland. What are the best ways to hide you're a prostitute? So as a woman, well, see, here's the thing. As a woman, you can always just blame it on. She can just always blame it on. Oh, well, I'm worth more. I'm worth more. I'm worth more. I'm worth a trip to Cancun. I'm worth of that, and that's how a woman can just hide it, right? Because some guys are gonna go, oh, well, I gotta pay for her pussy now. I gotta try to impress her. Why did you sell The Last of Us 2? You know what's crazy, man? I just had this conversation with this girl in the Institute of Sociology. I don't even remember how we started talking about it. Oh, I remember because I told her I was reading into Parasites. And she got on, I guess in The Last of Us, they had the Parasites in The Last of Us. So then we started talking about The Last of Us. And she was real into The Last of Us 1, the game. And then she got real into the show. But she said that she didn't like the show. And I agree with her. I haven't even watched the show, but these are the reasons why I don't like watching a lot of American media. Specifically, I don't like a lot of American media, is because it always comes back to this whole. They always force some love story into it, some awkward way in American media. And this is why either it's some love story, or I gotta, or somebody's struggling and you're supposed to feel their pain and all but it's always this real awkward way of doing it. So she says she never finished the show because I know she's finished the show, but she said just don't bother watching the last episode or the last 2 episodes because they tried to force this like fatherly love for his daughter and it was just so awkward. It was just shitty. But she said the show was good up to that point. But the reason I sold The Last of Us was because it just didn't have any. The Last of Us 2 just did not feel like a good game at all. In the sense, okay, I don't want to say at all. That was too harsh. The Last of Us did not feel good in the sense of the story and the flow and the purpose. It just felt like dog shit. Like in the beginning, it felt great. I thought it was going to be a good game at first. But it just because when she was fighting, she was using like a switchblade to fight off the zombies, and like this is not believable. Like it's just like it didn't even feel like it was connecting. It just felt so bad. Like I just did not like I mean, I was trying to find some part of the story I was interested in. I just wasn't interested. I just did. I mean, it was all good shit, but it really could have just been some DLC wrapped up from what I know about it. It really could have been DLC that could have been wrapped up in 2 or 3 hours. Right? Like it was just because Joel, like you felt like it was believable because there was so much more. And then how the game ended, it was just like with how The Last of Us 1 ended was just like because he took her off the operating table and killed all the doctors because they said that they was gonna kill her, and the way he lied to her about it just blew my fucking like the way the first one just left it was and then left off, and then what 2 was supposed to be just a big ass revenge mission, like all that shit could have been wrapped up in DLC. It just. And then it got to one part where it was just like an open world area. And I think that's where I just gave up. I just couldn't. It was just none of it felt like it belonged. It was just because, again, in part 1, he was traveling across North America to get what's her name? Ellie. To get Ellie to the doctors because she was immune to the zombie shit. Right. So his job was to transport her all the way across North America, which gave cause and reason to make a long game off of that because you're traveling across the entire goddamn country, right? On foot. Majority of it on foot, right? And you got zombies, you got, whatever the fuck. But part two, I just did, it just, no, it was just, I sold it. I just didn't like it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think some of the, I think the fighting for what they did with it, and I think the fighting for what they did with it, the physics and some of this shit, I thought it was good, but I mean, it just, no, it was just, I just sold it. August line, The Last of Us didn't need a sequel. It should have just been left alone. Yeah. Yeah. Or done something like Zone of the Enders and Zone of the Enders 2. Something like that. Like how I don't know if you play Zone of the Enders or Zone of the, that was one of my favorite games. Zone of the Enders was essentially Iron Man before Iron Man was a thing. Zone of the Enders was essentially like with the AI and all that shit like that, and it can formulate a conversation. It was essentially Jarvis more in the MCU before Jarvis was a thing in the MCU. And that came out like 2000, maybe 2002 or something, 2001-ish. But the way they did Zone of the Enders 2 was better. But yeah, The Last of Us 2, it was just, yeah, like I agree, because they really should have just left it alone, and just, if they had to make a part 2, just make it something else entirely. It has not very much to do with Ellie and Joel, or maybe they could have just made like a cameo like halfway through or something like that. But y'all had your own business to tend to, right? Maybe if it had been Ellie and all that shit, maybe it could have just been another girl who went through the same things that Ellie went through in some kind of way, and Ellie and Joel make a cameo like, a quarter of the way through the game or something like that, and then just kept a whole different story arc separate and moving, right? I think that would have been better. But like I said, I enjoyed the part where one of the doctors that Joel killed was the tranny's dad. I enjoyed that part. I thought that was a very creative part. It's something that I just completely didn't see coming. I enjoyed that. I really did. And I enjoyed the fact that the tranny was mad and went off and wanted to kill Joel. But the fact that they started this whole almost like cult type of group, the whole thing was just bad. It was bad. Like, I mean, the fact that it was a tranny, that part didn't bother me much, because I didn't even put together that it was a tranny, right? I remember when I first seen the motherfucker, right? No, the first time, because I think the first time I seen him was when I was playing as him, right? And no joke, I'm so not even lying. When I was playing, because I had the TV over there before. When I was playing it, I remember I threw a punch, and I was like, when I threw a punch, I was like, that was an awfully efficient punch for a woman. Like, did they motion cap a man? I swear to God, that was my first thought. As I said, I threw a right hook, right? And that motherfucker was very efficient. It was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when I watched it, I was like, that punch was a little too well thrown to be from a woman. They must have motion captured a man and hope we didn't notice it. Okay, I just overlooked that. And keep going with the story. Like, I legit didn't even see it was I didn't even know it was a train. I didn't know it was a man for real, right? I thought they just did some shitty motion capture and hope we just didn't notice. But yeah. August line said, yeah, Joel's arc was satisfying and complete. Yeah, he went from he went from not caring to be yeah. I agree with you. Yeah, it was that they were traveling across the world. They were traveling across the country. Joel wasn't immune to this shit, so he could have got this. He could have got bit and turned, right, or killed, right, or So like, it was so much more. So the fact that Ellie's essentially walking around like goddamn fucking for lack of better word, Superman. She can't get infected by it. As far as I know, I didn't finish the game. Maybe something else happened. I don't know. But it was so bad, I really don't even care. It was just that bad. Wasn't believable. Joe was out there throwing that motherfucker was out there throwing haymakers on fucking zombies, dude. Joe was out there throwing haymakers on motherfuckers, right? That motherfucker was a powerhouse. Hey, that shit was gangster. Joel was gangster. Ellie, you can't make because I remember when I started playing. It, and you was doing combat with Ellie, and I remember thinking to myself, "There's no way they can make this entire game with this combat. Like this is awful. Like this is just not believable. Like how do you go from Joel to this shit? Like it was just not. I just did not care for it. I just didn't care for it. I remember." I think you were like downstairs, some like underground garage or something like that, and it was like kind of flooded a little bit. And I remember just like fighting, it was okay, you know, it wasn't terrible, like the mechanics. I remember thinking they not gonna make me play as Ellie throughout this whole game. Like they can't be serious. Maybe you're gonna have some flashbacks, and the next 20 hours gonna be Joel. You know what I mean? Like in the time period between, you know what I mean, to add some fun to this motherfucker, right? Because this is not fun. What's up, Pimped Out Platypus? But yeah, feminists are ruining everything from entertainment and enjoyment for men and boys. Wake from woke. Yo, did you guys see the soccer match? I don't know if it's new or old, but where it was a soccer. Let me see if I can pull it up. Where's my? No, it was 12-0. Did you guys see this shit? They got fucking wrecked. The U.S. women's professional soccer team got wrecked by like 40-year-old men with beer bellies and retired from the tier 4 from the 4th league underneath the professionals in the men's division. You guys see this shit? And I love it. I want to see more of it. I want to see more. I want to see more integration because we're equal. And the thing was, they only played like I think like a third of the actual time. It wasn't even like the whole time. Like if they had to play like an entire match, the score would have been like 30-something to nothing. And these weren't even the backups in professional men's soccer. This was like the fucking, it would be like the WNBA playing like the ABA. Now I would say it's even worse. It would be like the WNBA playing like an above average college basketball team. Well, you don't have the same result. It's not much, but these men were older. These men were like these were not young guys. All these men were like at minimum late 30s, right? Playing against women in their prime and professionals, and they got fucking embarrassed. And then we got this dude trying to get pussy points. People think U.S. women's first team lost 12-0 to Rex. I don't know how to pronounce that. Wrexham. They didn't. Yeah, no, bro. Yes, they did. They lost that. So let's read this either clickbait article or he think he ready to get some pussy by writing some silly shit like this. Because them women got annihilated. In case you missed it, the soccer tournament is a new seven-a-side event that features a host of famous former players and sees 32 teams compete for a $1 million prize. It also features both male and female players, and the most eye-catching results so far saw the U.S. women team suffer a heavy defeat at the hands of Welsh side Wrexham. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, by the way. However, people have been posting posting the score without any context, and it's led to some social media users to infer that U.S. women's first team were the ones who got resoundingly beaten. Now, you can watch the whole game. You can watch the whole, bro. What, Harry? Do you know that you can watch the whole goddamn game on YouTube right now? I don't know if this was just some feminist push by the website to give him incentive to write some old goofy shit like this, or he genuinely believes this shit because he trying to get some pussy. But either way, it's silly. However, people. Oh wait, no, I read that. In reality, it was a representative side made up of mostly retired internationals who took on a team including former Wrexham and Swansea player who led the Welsh side and bagged 4 goals. Okay, either way it goes, dude. You put a team. Okay, you put a team full of women, of trained women, against a team full of trained men. This is going to be the result. Annihilation. That's what it's going to be. Now, depending on the sport, you might fuck around and get some women who can compete. But if you put an entire team full of trained women and put an entire team full of men who were 60% equally trained, it's 60% trained as women, it's going to be annihilation. I still remember this story, and I've been meaning to tell this story. A friend of mine, his wife grew up playing tennis. And I mean, like, grew up playing tennis, right? He never played tennis. This is the friend of mine who is a white dude, and this dude is like fast as fuck. I remember I used to think I could beat him in a race. That motherfucker beat my ass in a race. Like, I could not even. He just fast as fuck, right? And he was the only person who ever beat me in Madden like consecutive times. Like, I can't beat him in Madden. He was the one person who's ever just like annihilated me like that bad in physical. And you could say Madden's like more like a mental level because it's a video game. It's pretty much just chess on an Xbox, right? So I remember he told me a story because she tries to play that feminist shit, but the thing is, like, when shit gets real, like, she hops off that feminist shit real quick and falls in a line underneath him, like unbelievably fast. Right. But I remember he told me the story how they finally went to go play tennis, and he didn't know the rules, right? So she taught him the rules, like where you can hit the ball and all this shit like that. So he said after and they probably and they just played around with it for about an hour, right? And he got up to speak because he's one of those dudes, like, he's real good at anything you hit with like a stick. Like, he's like great at baseball, whatever the fuck. Like, he's just one of those dudes he's one of those guys who's just a really talented person, right? But even then, tennis is not something easy to pick up, right? But he told me, oh shit, that's my son's train. It always randomly goes off. This motherfucker always randomly goes off, like, completely randomly just goes off. Anyway, so they were playing tennis, and he said he like, she couldn't beat him, right? And he said and he said, like, no, like, she was actually better than me, but the reason I beat her was because I just used a strategy that she just couldn't pick up on. And this is what I stress all the time, is that, see, women do not do well in freestyle survival mode, right? The way that he beat her was he just hit the ball to the other side and just made her run and chase the ball. And she just got tired, and she never picked up on the fact that that's all he was doing, right? See, this is why I always say, see, women suck at, as long as you make a building, you make a park, you make an establishment. Now women can come in and they can do a little bit of something, a little bit, right? But see, women do not go out there and build the buildings. They don't go out there and build anything. They don't maintain maintenance on the building, right? And it comes out scenarios like with my friend playing tennis with his wife. Like, He said, like, no, she was better than me. Like, I just couldn't keep up with how she was hitting the speed she was doing. So all he could do was he would just make sure when he hit the ball, he hit it to the other side, and then to make her run over there and get it. And he just kept doing that and just exhausted her, so she couldn't keep up. And that's how he would beat her. See, it's that freestyle thought in the middle of action is where women just. If they could hold it up till then, that's when it falls apart. They just can't do it. I haven't had a good Madden match, probably because I don't touch Madden. But yeah, Alchemist Surfboarder. Madden reminds me of using an abacus. I haven't had a good Madden. I haven't played Madden though, because Madden, if you play against a computer, it just flat out cheats. So I just stopped playing it years ago. But I would love to have like a good Madden match online. But then the reason why I stopped playing games online is because there was one guy I played online. Like, he figured out just a great glitch in it where he had picked. I remember this. I'll never forget this one guy I played in Madden. I just couldn't do anything on defense because he had put so much time into this, where he had picked the exact audibles, like, in audibles. He had picked the exact options of audibles to where he could just read your defense. And then for those of you who know how to American football, you can essentially read a defense and know, okay, if somebody comes out in 4-3, then you run an I with a slot receiver. Okay, that slot receiver is going to be there's no cornerback of matching speed to keep up with that. So either you got to drop a safety down, which the safety in many chances can or most likely will get beat, or that slot receiver is going to be guarded by a linebacker who's going to be much slower. So what he would do is he picked all his audibles were like wildly different to where, like, no matter what you picked, no matter what defense play you picked or you audible to, he could just read it and just pick like the specific play to just kill it, and it was just nothing you could do about it. In one way or another, like, he was gonna get it right. And I'll never forget that dude. But like, see, when it comes to shit like that, like, on one hand, like, yeah, you can't say it's just skill, but on the other hand side, it's like, okay, I just don't know how to do this. I just don't, like, if I had known it, like, I just don't know how to fix the audibles to what I want, because I just never put that much time into Madden, right? So I just don't know what to do. Like, in my opinion, like, that's not really skill at this point, because I know what you're doing, right? I know the game plan of what you're doing. I just don't know the programming. And if I could, like, if I had somebody to say, hey, select this, and make this do that, I would just do it and stop you, right? But I don't know how to do it. And online, that's why I don't like playing a lot of online stuff anymore, because it's just too many people like that who just figured out little exploitative ways. And sometimes you can fight it, sometimes you can't. And it just gets too annoying, so I just quit doing it, honestly. For a lot of games, I just stopped doing it. But yeah, really with this article. Okay, so here's the thing. If any one person gets 4 goals in one game of soccer, y'all got some problems. If one man got 4 goals, y'all got some problems on the other side. You need to fix that. But they killed him. So what's this? The U.S. women representative side are now out the competition and can't make it into the knockout stage. Well, yeah. What did you think was gonna happen? The result has attracted attention online, with clips of the game being shared on social media and people, either willingly or not, misrepresenting the full context of the result. Bro, the whole game is on the internet. Watch the whole goddamn game. That is the context. And I give it to him. The female goalie, she did as good as she could do, given what she had to work with. A bunch of grown ass men versus a bunch of women. She did the best she could do. Right? I'm not even mad that they scored 12 points. Okay, because at some where was all them other women that they should have went out there and got that ball to keep that ball out that half of the fucking field? Why don't you focus on that? The rest of them. Let's look at this shit.
Jones. There is Trundle and another Harris. Harris again. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the goalie, she did good.
Look at that. Look at that respect.
For what?
Oh, absolutely. When Trundle gets this, he's so good with his back to goal, but keep an eye on how big.
For what she, I mean, you know what I mean, for what she had to work with.
Turnover and another save and another save. 2 in a row, make it 3.
Wow.
Yeah. And here's the thing, everybody in any comment section I ever seen, everybody in any comment section that I seen about this, all praised the goalie for what she had to work with. Everybody praised her for what she had to work with. Everybody.
Watch this. Watch Trundle come over right now.
That's incredible.
Speaking after the game, the U.S. women's side captain and World Cup winner, Heather O'Reilly, explained how happy she was to have been involved in the competition. We're super proud, so happy to be here at this event, Riley said at halftime. Hopefully we've proven to anybody, just go for it, just live. What's the worst that could happen? We could lose 16-0 to Wrexham. We don't care. We're living. We're being bold. We're being brave. Yeah, you being brave, getting your ass annihilated. Let's just like I said, dude, the whole game is on YouTube. If you would like to watch the game, like literally, it's on YouTube right now. And the men are like clearly not even putting 70, not even, I'd say at max 60% effort, at absolute max. Absolute max. Because if the men had taken it any harder, the women would have accidentally got an elbow in their face or something like that. Or, I mean, the women, they going to start talking about they got hurt and all this old shit like that. And the men, they just couldn't be allowed, they wouldn't be allowed to play because the men are just going to be more physically dominant than the women are. Sounds like someone's not doing the math. Let's be honest, the men were playing against the equivalent of children. Yeah. Oh, I remember I watched maybe I'll pull it up. There was this WNBA player, right? I think she was like the league's best 3-point shooter or something like that in the WNBA. And she went out and she played against this college basketball dude who I think he didn't even average like a point a game. Right? But okay. Now to be fair, anything could happen in college basketball, and he just ends up getting benched, right? And I think he played like 2 or 3 years. The guy played like 2 or 3 years in college. He had played like 2 or 3 years in college. And then and this was like 5 or 10 years ago. The guy was like overweight. I think he was out there playing in Tim's, right? I'm pretty sure he wasn't even in like gym attire. But we can look it up in a minute. But yeah, it was the same thing. Like I think she did score a little bit, and that you could tell because he wasn't even going all out then. And she was in the WNBA, and this dude was he was literally like a bench warmer in college 10 years ago, and she couldn't compete. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see. Yeah, I think this is it. Yeah, this is it. Wait, let me see if it's going to get. Wait. Yeah, this is it. This is yeah. This is. Oh, so he did have on shorts and shit. Okay, maybe I'm thinking of something else. But I think she did actually score a little bit.
That's a layup. That's a layup. No respect. Ooh, rightfully so. Right. Look at the pose after every shot. I like that. I like that.
I don't think this is this the one I'm thinking of. But the fact that she's in the WNBA and this dude is Division II.
Hezzy. Hezzy.
And on top of that, like he's clearly not in the best of physical shape, right? The fact that this is even close says a lot.
Uh-oh. Game point.
Now, because here's the thing, right? So for those of you who don't follow basketball, here's the thing. See, all he would have to do is just drive to the paint hard, and she'd have about 3 broken ribs and be. See, the fact that he ain't driving to the paint or nothing like that, he just throwing shit. Had his motherfucker had start driving, like going hard to the paint, she'd have been done. Fucking finished. Right? Does he ever actually drive like to the paint, or he's just gonna kind of keep doing this like, I think I'm gonna drive, I'm just gonna shoot it? Because if it gets physical, like she's not gonna be able to keep up.
1-0. She got the series 1-0. What's up? Yeah, best out of 3. What happened? Oh. Talk to me. Talk to me.
She still get the win.
What just happened?
I won, but she won.
Okay. He tired. What happened?
Like I said, if that man had said fuck it and start hitting her with some shit like she'd have been done, dude. She'd have been fucking finished. She'd be laid out on the floor. They had to call an ambulance. All he had to do is go just drop that shoulder down and hit him. You remember in the old basketball games where you hold the left shoulder button, the back down, and let me see if I can find. I'm gonna show you exactly what would have had her done. Let's see. Maybe if I could find, maybe somebody put. It's gonna be really hard to find what I'm thinking of. We remember on them old basketball games where you would just hit like the left trigger, and then he would just like turn around and start backing the motherfucker up. Had it done that, she'd be in the hospital, dude. It'd be over. Like Shaq, yeah, it'd be done. She'd be done. You had to call an ambulance for her. And so, oh well, I was brave and stunning. Sitting up in the hospital bed, looking like Terrence Howard. I'm done. Ivy Bolt, what's up, man? Been in the gym. Yo, AD, you been in the gym? Cool. I ain't been to the gym at all. But if you have, that's cool, man. Biology's biology. Men are naturally smart. If you took her to the post, she would have been hauled out there on a stretcher. Yeah. Oh, he did go to the paint several times a game. Yeah. Because I think that was like the best out of the like 2 or 3 they played or some shit like that. Oh, MG Verde says, I think this was, yeah, that was the best out of 2 or 3. I'm done, man. What's up, Super? But yeah, man. That shit's wild. That fucking, this, no, not this. What I'm looking at? That soccer shit. Yeah, this was wild, man. But I'm all for it, man. Like I want more. I like I said, I want to see women go to the NFL and have to go on that field with grown ass men. I want to see women go into the NBA and see how they gonna. I want to see it. I want to see women go. Well, no, I really don't want to see women. I don't want to see women out there in construction work because they gonna fuck around and you know what I mean and put lives in danger. So I don't even. No, that's where I'll put my foot down. Right? Not okay. Like for example, I remember I was at the mall like 2 days ago. Because I was getting ready to buy the new Zelda, but I forget why I ended up not buying it. Oh yeah, because I think it's too expensive. And that's just me personally. That's why I just didn't buy it at the time. But I remember when I was walking up to the mall, I parked in the garage, and I was walking like to the door, and it was this woman driving this Audi, right? And she pulls around, and her tire is like damn near completely flat, right? And I was looking at her to make eye contact with her. Now, maybe she just had a resting bitch face, but she was like trying to get that look like, yeah, I know I'm the shit. I'm driving a nice car. And like, I really wanted to stop her, but then like, see, this is the problem that women face in the world. It's like, yo, like, bitch, your tire is flat. Your front right tire, her front, because she turned in front of me and I seen the tire. And like, now had that have been a man, I'd been like, hey, yo, I would have, waved him down, yelled at him, even if he would have got mad, but told him, like, look, yo, that tire is flat. That motherfucker, you fuck around and have a blowout or some shit like that, and fuck around and, and 3 lives have been lost because that tire is looking like that. You got to do something about that. Right, but see the woman, she might think I'm trying to holler at her or something like that, or maybe she think that she's too good to talk to me because maybe she thinks I'm a lesser quality dude or something like that. Whatever. Like, see, and these the problems that women, like, dealing with women in the world. That's what it is, right? So you can't just like, I'm trying to save your life right now with this flat fucking tire. So I just let her go. I hope she is all right. But see, the thing is, man, with this whole fight for like equality, only when it's a benefit, by the way, but equality is they're gonna start fucking around and getting treated like equals when it's not, an easy time to deal with it, right? Or it's that whole thing of well, like in the scenario with me and the girl with the flat tire, like, yo, like, I don't want to come off like I'm trying to like hit on her or something like that. I'm trying to tell her like her fucking tire's flat, like, and that can cause a problem later on. But like, should I tell her that to save her life and to save her struggling, being stranded on the side of the highway, or and go through her whole facade of being bad bitch in a nice car and deal with all that shit that comes on with it, or do I just let her go and potentially put lives at risk? See, these are reasons why it just gets more complicated. Even in the workforce, most men say that they just don't want to work with women. If you ask majority of men, they will say if they want to work with women, most men will tell you no, especially if it's a job that they want and they want to do well. You know what I mean? And minimize risk, because the emotions get too tied up in this shit, man, and it just gets too annoying, right? Yo, AD, how did you, Thomas Bass, hope I pronounced that right, how you did that deep dive on dating older men? Can you please do a deep dive on the importance of getting attention in women? Like, break it down, how it's oxygen to them. Men need to hear that badly. Well, the attention women need. Okay, now on the top level, I'm gonna say this quick because there's another one I want to read. I'm gonna get off here in like 10 minutes. Women need attention. Now here's the thing. In my honest and true opinion, women do not have a good sense of self-awareness. Like, In my opinion, they're just above, was it water buffaloes? I think. Like, like they're just above that to the point where like they genuinely cannot see shit like outside of themselves. They lack a sense of self-awareness, right? Okay, because when you become fully self-aware, you are capable, and most men will reach this point at some point in their life. Some men are slower, but most men will eventually get there. We can fully acknowledge when and where we get mad at the time we're doing it, right? See, men have that damn near an evolution in the brain to be able to do this, right? Where women don't. They try because they realize men can do it, but women don't have that part, right? So at this part, like, women are more like animals than they are humans, in the sense like they can't control that analytical side of themselves, that higher sense of self-awareness, right? They can't, they don't have it. Like, they could now, but the thing is, they'll pretend to mimic and imitate people who do, which is typically men. This is why everything a woman does is based off of what men do and accomplish in life. But women themselves don't have it. They don't have it. So with that being said, like, see, the women are in the reality of their thought processes, of the actions of their thought processes, the execution of their thought. It's more it's more in line with that of an animal or an insect than it is than an actual human, right? So with that being said, which is fucked up to say, but it's the reality, right? Like a dog does, okay, very rare. Well, dogs have a bit more intelligence in this context, but let's say like an insect or different branches of mammals, like when they get hungry, mad, sad, whatever, they don't think about being hungry, mad, or sad. They just go act on being hungry, mad, or sad, right? Whereas men, we sit down and rethink the shit. What's the best method to do it? How should I do it? What's going to happen when I get there? Will I have enough to get out of there? See, we have to analyze, should I park properly? Should I park my car in a way that somebody else can get in this motherfucker? Somebody else can park next to me and get into McDonald's that I'm at. See, women, they don't have any of that. Very few women have any of that. They don't care when they park that car. They don't care if they left enough space for somebody else to park next to them. They don't get. See, she wanted to park like an insect, like a mammal. She wanted that, so that's all she cares about, right? Like I said, now there's a lot of women who learn to mimic that loving, that truly loving and caring for humanity. There's women who like to mimic that, but a perfect example. Look at perfect example what I touched on about a month ago, that completely shatters the whole illusion that women are this loving, caring group. Look at the fast fashion industry, right? It's no secret that fast fashion is terrible. They treat people awful the fast fashion industry treats all their workers absolutely terrible. They completely subject them to all types of chemicals, whatever the fuck. You can find any documentary sprinkled all over goddamn YouTube about how fast fashion treats the people who make the clothes. And guess who's the number one buyer of fast fashion? You don't hear one feminist group arguing about that. You don't hear one feminist group getting up to go fight it because they don't give a fuck. All woman cares about is that she looks cute so she can get a man's attention so that man will come protect her. That's all. She don't see that woman. She don't care about that. She doesn't care that a 5-year-old had to make that sweater for 12 hours. She don't give a fuck about that. Now, that's probably not a real situation, but entertain me. She doesn't care about that. If anything, that woman will walk up in that sweatshop and say, "Look, Pedro, this sweater is about 3 centimeters too small. And if you remake this motherfucker again and it don't fit right, I will make sure your family don't eat for 2 weeks because it better fit me because I want to look cute for this party, little motherfucker." And she goes, she doesn't care, dude. That love, I'm telling you, the women, that loving and care. See, so what I said earlier, women act just based off of more in line with animals than humans. is because, see, that every sense of loving, caring, get attention is based off of her core need of survival, which she needs a man to serve. Women need men to survive, right? So the intention is a branch off. Women have figured out over the course of time that being more pretty, more attractive will get more attention. More attention equals more people trying to protect her, and possibly finding one permanent protector, throughout her life. If that guy thinks she's pretty enough, right? Because I mean, really think about how gross and pathetic it is, right? On an evolutionary basis, women have figured out that looks and attraction is what makes them the best. She has to be pretty and all that shit, right? So that tells you right there, right? Through human evolution, that tells you right there that woman itself knows that there's not much value in that outside of sex. Because why was there no time in history where women collectively got together and tried to sell themselves off their knowledge of molecular biology to men? Why is there no part in history where women got together and tried to share their knowledge of computer science? They never tried to use that route, right? What was their route? From a human evolutionary standpoint, what was their route of survival? Right? It was the dress in ways that would make you remember that this was a woman. Nowadays, first it started out by tying hay in their hair as a substitute for real hair, because they found out that traveling men liked women with long hair, and so women started tying literally hay in their hair as a substitute before they found out they could tie horse hair in there and it looked better, right? Nowadays, you have women wearing leggings so tight that it's going to cut the circulation off to their toes. Anything that they can do on a physical level to remind you that this is a woman on a physical level, that's when she's an alpha. That's when she's the alpha woman. Anything where she can remind you that this is the physical body of woman. See, everything about woman that makes her valuable in social media, in the dating market, or walking down the street. Everything that's going to make her stand out, right, and be better and all that shit is whatever she can do to further remind you that she is the body of woman. Nothing else. Right? Nothing else. Right? And it's that anything she can do to get that extra attention is gonna boost her chances of getting man to fuck her and protect her, right? What's up? What's up, Papa Midnight? What's up, man? Women love slaves and she's getting the goods. Oh, of course. Yeah. Of course. They don't care nothing about them starving kids. They don't care nothing about... No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. You might find a few here or there who genuinely do. But for the most part, no. Not at all. Not at all. No, that loving and caring shit, is an illusion created by other men in media who know what men initially want to believe and sold that to them. Right? A true loving and caring bone. No, not at all. Not at all. Like I said, when it comes time for a party and they want that dress made, look, she don't care if your family got to starve for 3 weeks to make that dress for her. She want that dress made because she got to look cute and it better fit. And then she'll walk out there, oh yeah, I'm just so nice and loving, yeah. And have fucking Eric in that fucking basement sewing that shit together for 6 hours. Ain't seen his family or nothing. Don't give a fuck. Because she got to look cute to further that protection. Oh, around here, don't even get... Oh, yeah, the surgery, yeah. AD, what creates a simp? Because women are beautiful. What creates a simp is because women are beautiful, and we're taught throughout our entire lives to if you want something, be nice and be giving, and you'll be paid back one day. Right? Simps are not very different from religion on a whole, in my opinion. From the mainstream religions, simps are not very different, and in the core of the belief system, it's not very different. That secret belief that if you just keep giving, that one day, whatever God you believe in is going to reach down and come kiss you, and you know, and all. There's a song Regina Spektor made. She said that you can't spend your whole life waiting for God to kiss you. I can't remember the name of the song, but Regina, let me see if I can find that song. You can't spend your whole life waiting for God to kiss you. Decorum es pro patria amore. Patria amore was, I think this is like sweet as death. I forget what that means in fucking Latin. I'm a big fan of Regina Spektor's old shit. Here it is. Yeah, but you can't spend your whole life waiting for God to kiss you. But yeah, like I said, I think religion really isn't that far. It really isn't that far different from simps at the core. It's the thing of secretly every simp that's showing up on Pokimane stream and all that shit like that. Secretly, all of them deep down, they believe that one day Pokimane's gonna reach to that computer, like how Ronald Reagan did to Uncle Ruckus and touch him on. Let me see if I can find. Let me see if I can find where they all think that. Let me see if I can just find just the picture. Maybe I got to play it, but there's this one part in that where I'm gonna put it on mute. Just hold on. This is what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna skip because I don't want to get risk of copyright. But there's this one because Uncle Ruckus, you guys see this? Yeah. So he's walking with Ronald Reagan, and you know Uncle Ruckus, he hates black people, and he's black, and he thinks he's white, and you know. So for those of you who don't know who Uncle Ruckus is, so he goes to white heaven, and Ronald Reagan. See, this is so Uncle Ruckus is essentially the simp, right? And he goes there, and Ronald Reagan is standing right there, and he's welcomed into white heaven. This is all Uncle Ruckus. This is Uncle Ruckus' imagination, right? So he thinks that one day he's going to get invited to white because Uncle Ruckus he loves white people. So Uncle Ruckus hates anybody who's not white, right? While he himself is a black man, he's a great character. So he thinks that he's going to go to white heaven. And Ronald Reagan's standing there, so he's like talking to Ronald Reagan, and they're both, and he's like looking up to him as a mentor and all this shit. I'd love to play it, but I'm sure I get copyrighted. But there's this one scene. Oh yeah, okay, here it is right here. Because so Ronald Reagan reaches down and touches Uncle Ruckus on the forehead. This is what every simp in Pokimane stream or majority motherfuckers in any stream or OnlyFans shit. This is what they're thinking. They think that the bitch is gonna reach through the screen and touch him on the forehead. I'll just play this. I probably get fucking copyrighted, but fuck it. And he turned white. And he turned to a white man so he can go be with the white gods. That's what the Pokimane simps are. That's what a simp is. He's secretly thinking that if he just sucks up enough and all this shit, that he'll be accepted with the gods. If he makes enough duck face selfies and tries to be the shoulder to cry on and comes over there and moves the refrigerator to the other side of the goddamn balcony, you know what I mean, and comes over and sets up her internet router and comes over and fixes her garbage disposal, he thinks he's gonna turn in. He thinks there's gonna be this mythological repayment for it later, and there is never going to be a repayment for it. I said there's not much difference between this and religions are the same thing. It's the same shit. It's the same shit. There's this never-ending sense of you have to pay more and more and more for this huge mythological payment at a later date that's never going to come, right? But it's on the hook, right? Yeah, and he turns it, yeah, and he's happy because he. He's just happy because he this is his, imagination. He's it finally happened and he turned into a white man. But yeah, no, that's what simps are. Simps are Uncle Ruckus. They're never going to get in there because of what they are at the time. With that, especially, and they'll never get in there with that woman ever again. Because remember, once you cross that line with that one woman, you are for more than likely you're forever done with ever getting respect out of that one woman ever again, right? And that's why I always tell men too, and I used to say a long time before on my channel, is like, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, man, it's just going to be a numbers game with women, right? It's just going to be that's how you have to treat them because they don't give you any other choice. Right? Most men don't really want that numbers game up front, at least, right? Most men want to go out there and get married to that first woman, right? Now, some guys are going to be awkward. Some girls are going to be awkward. I get that. I'm not trying to completely demonize women, but that's the fucking reality, right? When men grow of age, when the majority of men grow of age to finally become awakened, to realize how beautiful women are, we want that one girl we like and we want to marry her and all that. And see, those are the years where she's just starting to realize all her options and all this shit and how should she play it, what should she do. So she's not caring. Because again, remember when I covered that video, was it last week, the live stream last week, where that 13-year-old girl, they posed as a 13-year-old girl, and within 1 minute they had like 10 people hollering at the decoy. Since they're 13, I'd say it really starts between the ages of 10 to 13 is when that's slowly starting to when it starts. I was saying that back with the Blue Can Trail, whatever that bitch. Y'all remember that thick light skinned bitch who was kind of popular for a little while? Her name was like blue something. And I said it back then, yeah. And I was saying actually before she said it, but she was the first woman who I've come across that openly said yeah, since like 13 she had guys buying her cell phones, shit like that, right? But yeah, back to this topic. Yeah, the simp is Uncle Ruckus. Uncle Ruckus is a simp for in his lore. He's a simp for the white pop for the rich white. Well, it didn't even have to be rich white man. Any white person. Uncle Ruckus just loved white people, right? And he thought everybody else was just terrible. Speaking of 13, Japan raised the age of consent from 13 to 16. Word up, I didn't know that. Blue Jasmine, that was it, Simon. Yeah. How many people in real life do you think are like Uncle Ruckus? That's a good question, Ron. Deep down, I would say a whole lot more than I think I would even think. Deep down, and because I hate to dive in on the sociology of the workforce, but I'll just touch on this real quick, and I'm gonna get out here in a minute. It's literally documented from because I'm absolutely awful with names, but these are things that were literally like written down in diaries and journals of the richer populations, right? They use religion, they use the workforce, they use cars, they use these influences to train people into thinking that there's secretly going to be a bigger payoff later, right? And I was telling my girl this actually. See, when you go to work, right? And see, this is the sick part about the workforce. See, when you go to work and like once a year you get like a pizza party or some shit like that, and we all know the pizza is not expensive for what they make and how much money they making off of you. The pizza, but there's a reason why you keep why you realize that disrespect, but you keep going back up in there. Right now, one is because, well, the way the economy is, you essentially need a job to survive. And at least in most populations, at least 50% of the population are living paycheck to paycheck, and that's again intentionally done for a reason, right? But back to the pizza party such scenario, when you get that pizza party or whatever, whatever, it's going to be once a year, maybe twice a year, and if you're lucky, 2 times a year, right? See. The reality of what's happening is, that is your actual payment on a human level, right? Because that is the only time you are allowed, relatively speaking, to just sit down and exist with essentially your work family. That's the only time you're literally allowed to just sit down and be the closest thing to a human that you can be at work, right? See, that little part right there, that's the part that they're preying on. On a side, again, these situations were literally studied in humans since the Industrial Revolution. So by now, it's the year 2000. It's all done on a scientific basis. They know which one of you are going to have problems. They know which one of you aren't going to last long. They know about, which one of you are going to last about a year, maybe 2, maybe 3 years at max. All of these, it's already written out, right? So. But the thing is, you don't know it because you're just you're just the next cattle on the fucking conveyor belt ready to get slaughtered. You don't see when those cows are on that conveyor belt. See, that cow thinks it's the first cow that ever walked on that conveyor belt, right? Especially the one who realized they on a conveyor belt. That cow, he thinks he's the first one, right? So first he tries to get out. Well, he sees, oh, I can't get out because there's a bar here. It just happened to be here. No, that bar was put there because literally 500 other cows before you tried that same move. And we know you're going to try that. That's why that bar is sitting right there. You see how this is adding up, right? So what do you do? Well, when people, here's the thing. You can look up any statistic you want. Go to the more impoverished countries, more specifically ones that aren't just completely run over by communism, but you can find the same theories in communism too. The more financially beat down they are, the less options people have. People will start believing into some form of God or Jesus because it's the psychological way. It's the only psychological way you can get rid of that burden of know you're getting screwed over and believe in things like karma or that an invisible man's going to pay you back or pay them back or whatever the fuck. This is literally documented shit. And it's employed every fucking day. And people are so fucking stupid for one reason or another, or lazy, or maybe they were just too tired by the time they realized it to even fight back. Right? But that's what it is. So to secretly wait for that payoff and all this, no, like, one, I think far more people suffer from that than even I would even think. And two, the thing that keeps it going ultimately is that nobody, it's this weird dynamic that nobody wants to openly talk about it because they all secretly think that it's going to happen to them. Right? Because if they talk about it, that, oh yeah, I'm gonna secretly get this payoff of a new Ferrari. Right? If they talk about it, here's the reality of what happens. If they talk about it out loud, it's this really weird dynamic that'll happen. You see, it's not about getting the Ferrari for most of them. It's about them being the only one with the Ferrari and then showing it off to those who don't have the Ferrari, right? So even in the concept of the thought of getting the Ferrari, you see, the reason why it's not spoken out loud is because they secretly think that they're going to get it on the individual level and other people. But if they talk about it out loud, they're not special in their thought pattern, right? See, so again, so at the end of the day, you can manipulate an entire country of people based off of them making them feel like they're better than other people, right? And as long as you set them against each other, they'll never collaborate and grow. They never will. I'm not gonna go into race in this video, but they never will. They just never will. Whether it's the form of racial issues, whether it's the form of financial greed, whether it's the form of greed over getting, you know, a woman. How many times you've been to the club or a bar or something like that, and guys get in fights because they want that one woman, right? How many times have you seen? I'm sure most of you have at least heard of it or seen or been a part of it at some point, right? So let's use the woman example, right? Got to a fight because you want to fuck a woman. You thought another guy wanted a woman, right? And in the reality of it, that woman wasn't even worth shit. Because guess what? That woman was fucking drinking nut and puking on dicks 3 hours before she went to that club from some guy who don't even give a fuck about her. And got you up in there fighting over. Right? You know how I tell you this. Again, big fan of Ghetto Gaggers, facial abuse, big fan of their work. But I tell you this, every girl that went on facial abuse and Ghetto Gaggers has at least 2 guys chased madly in love with them. Some know and some don't know that they did it. So one way, I'm going to let y'all go with this, man. One way I always keep myself humble in this game is to remember every man's treasure is another man's urinal. Or worse, or lower than that. So yeah, I'm going to let y'all go, man. Yo, thanks for tuning in. It's 8:47 here now. I'll let y'all, hey, what's up, Charlie Guns, KS, Daniel, Corey, Rana, I'm gonna read off the last few names. KS, Anthony Draws, Super. Yee, I don't know how you say that. I don't think you even Yee. Lewis, Alchemist, Surfboard. Yo, Elijah, Mo, hope y'all having a good day, man. I'm gonna let y'all go on that, man. I'll open this up so you can, maybe somebody's interested in watching this live stream. I don't know, because again, I usually don't have a plan anytime I do anything, but well, maybe somebody there was something to, learn or think about. Or maybe, acknowledge something you already was thinking. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just entertaining to watch or listen to. I don't know why anybody would even listen to me. But I'll let you guys go, man. I hope you guys have a good day, man. Peace out. Tomorrow I won't live stream. But if I do, it's definitely not going to be tomorrow. But maybe, depending on how I feel. But I doubt it's going to be tomorrow. More likely it'll be either Thursday or Friday. But anyway, I'm out of here. Peace out.